Hey folks, Farm Tour Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023, but today's actually Wednesday, the 24th. So a little noisy because they're right in front of me eating and shaking. Yesterday, honestly, I went till after dark working on stuff and just did not have time to stop and film. So filming today, so I'll show you all the stuff we got done yesterday, and you can see it's actually almost sunset right now. It's just shy of 8 o'clock, and sundown has been around 8:30ish. So I don't have a ton of time, and I do still need to water some of the stuff I got done yesterday. We got all the pigs moved that were getting moved, which is the feeders, the breeder group. Yeah, that's it. That's everybody that's needs moved around. And of course, they're just like hogging down all that. We'll flip around and fully see them in a minute. Yes, we got all them moved. And then yesterday I also had the vet come out because I was not loading them all up in the trailer and hauling them into the vet for the CVIs for Maryland. Vet came out, we got everybody looked at, and he said they all look fantastic, and he's very happy with it. And then we had to do the hard part of ear tagging. And if you've never tried to just ear tag a full-grown pig out in a field, 3 of which have babies on them in their farrowing yards, but it's not fun. I would not recommend it. We got Biscuit ear tagged without really any hassle. Dose ear tagged. That was a bit more of a hassle, but got it done. Dottie did not need ear tag because she has miraculously held on to her ear tag from when she came out here from Kansas. So she still had a USDA tag on her. All we had to do was clean it up enough to read the number, and then we were solid on that one. I got the back of the tag into, because I was like, I'm not going to risk this vet hurting himself with my pigs. So I did the ear tagging. I got the back of the tag into Payday, and after that, Payday was like, because we thought it clicked, and then the button popped off. So did not work for him. So he's got the back half, so I have to try to get him again. And Oatmeal we could not get. She, like, from the moment she felt the thing begin to pin her ear, she was done with it and just did all the and would not allow me to try that again. And now, because of it, she's also real hesitant around me. So we had been fine, and she's letting me love all over her. But now she's like, I don't really trust you anymore. So vet said I had a week he left me his nicer ear tagger because my ear tagger sticks a little. And obviously I don't want that if I'm trying to click it in real quick and get out of there. So he left me his nice tagger and some of the USDA tags, and then he'd just come out and verify, or I'd send him a picture. He said either one, as long as I showed him that they were indeed in the pigs that they were supposed to be in, that he had already checked out. But I have only a week to do it. And he said if I can't get it, he can come back out, and I'll just have to pay the fee for him to come back out again, and we'll just put them under. So we'll just dart them, which I've done several times with bison, so I'm not... And we've anesthetized piglets before for blood draws, so I'm not crazy worried about it. I know that pigs can be weird about it, but I'll just make sure it's done either late in the evening or early morning, where I know it won't be too hot for them. Really, what I was debating doing was giving it, and like I said, I'm debating this. I'm debating just getting them drunk and just going in and buying a bunch of cheap alcohol and trying to get Payday and Oatmeal drunk and ear tagging them. Because I know that's how people do that for hoof trimming and stuff too. I could just pin them up and, pin them real tight and press them and do it, which is pretty well what I did with Dose. But I was able to kind of manhandle Dose, and then she still busted free and got off on me. After seeing how it's making Oatmeal react around me, I really don't want to make them hesitant and non-trusting and then send them off to a new person and be like, hey, here's these pigs I've stressed the heck out of, and now they're not very social. So I'm debating even trying the getting them drunk thing and just being like, you know what, if that fails, then that's a second time for them to not trust me. So really, I'm thinking about just going ahead and calling them back up and being like, hey, let's just come out and anesthetize them and let's go ahead and just tag them that way. Because then they'll be out of it and they won't we won't run the risk of them being more stressed than they need to be. So I'm thinking about that. Honestly, I'm all ears, because a lot of you guys that do follow me are breeders that I know and values opinions. So feel free to drop your thoughts in the comment, get them drunk and try again, or call the vet back out and anesthetize them. Like I said, knowing that there is a slight risk of something could go wrong anesthetizing a pig, especially with this heat, but also knowing could also be problems with getting them drunk. So with this heat. So what are your thoughts? It'd be even more stressful to load them in a trailer and take them to the vet and then do something, and then we have to haul them back in the trailer. So like either way, this is where we're at. They have to be year tagged. They can't cross state lines without them. So got to do one way or the other. Beyond that, as far as pigs go, I do still have, so we've one pig I have to of the 5 I have to process for me, and for me, so that I can take it to the IPPBA show so I can make burgers and pulled pork, because I don't have enough to do that with what I've currently got. I've got a lot of pork chops and stuff and pork bellies and things like that, but not big roasts and burger. That stuff goes really quick, because people seem to like that, and we like that, so we eat a lot of that too. So I need to get that made, and then one of them is sold as a half and traded as a half. So that leaves me with still 3. I feel like this is at least the 3rd week in a row I've said I still have 3 available. So I have talked to a couple other people, and they just kind of drop off with talking about trading. So like they seem excited about it at first, and then they just stop messaging. So I don't know. If you are anywhere near the Springfield area and you're interested in that, feel free to hit me up. I'd be more than happy to trade for chicken, beef, lamb, or milk, or honey. So if you got any of those and you're nearby and you're interested in trading, like I said, feel free to hit me up. I'm more than happy to do that. So beyond that, I've got to make some decisions on what I want to do, because really, I don't have a ton of freezer space. I'm trying to get rid of one of my freezers. So if I get these back as hanging halves, I'm kind of out of luck. I'm not going to make any more charcuterie until this fall, because I'm going to be building a walk-in cooler and a curing room as part of how we're going to be processing pigs starting this fall. More details still to come. Just going to keep you guys on your toes for that. But there are a few people that do know what we're doing. But I really want to kind of just make sure I get as many other things done as possible, because I need to get our kitchen renovated and stuff. So I don't want to psych too many people up. But I do have 4 pigs to devote to that, because we processed the one. Actually, I should have 5 pigs, shouldn't I? Yes, there are 5 pigs in front of me. So there's 5 bigs, 5 littles now, because we had our pig roast too. Pig roast went great. We did a lardier one, and I would not recommend that. There was just way too much fat, way too much fat. It was really difficult to, and there goes Willow. She's after the neighbor. It was really difficult to like fully cook the inside while also not letting the fat run out. And then when we were done, there was still a ton of fat. So like, yeah, I don't remember. It was Tubby Gal is the one out here we did. And I just did her because I was like, she's not going to grow a ton like as fast as the others. Might as well just thin it to the good ones. And yeah, I don't recommend doing that. If you're going to do them younger or withhold a little bit of feed or something, like don't try to do a roaster pig that's that fatty. It just did not really work out real great. It was fine. The pork tasted delicious. It was more difficult than it needed to be to cook, and a lot of it was waste because it was like 40% fat. So like it was insane, and a lot of that just renders off and drips off no matter what. Like, I mean, we were propping up the rear end and like everything we could to try to stop fat from escaping, which in the end, like I said, then we're just pulling out these big chunks of fat, or then you put it on the table to start pulling it and fat just runs out and all over the ground. So like it was a waste. It really was just a waste. It would have been much better off if I'd have processed it and then used that fat to make lard and lardo, or so many different things we could have made with with the fat if I had processed it normally. So that would be my recommendation if you have some really fatty ones. Yeah, I think that's all the pig updates beyond us walking around and seeing them, because there are some little updates with each individual group of pigs. So let's go ahead and flip you around. I think I've yammered on long enough. So these guys are here and they're finishing up the last little bits of their feed out of their troughs. So now they have the pond hillside one. Well, the one that has the whole wrap around section of the pond. Yeah, and it's got a couple little persimetry that looks like they came back pretty well from that frost. But you can see lots of grass, and really you can only see a small section. This, you know, wraps all the way around the pond. They came out of, let's just walk over here. You can see our Bucks Unlimited oaks. 4 of the 6 we had planted here are doing fantastic. Beautiful sunset today. This was the paddock they had been in before, not before they just moved, but the one before. And you can see it still looks great as it did last week. So it has had 1 week of rest, and unnecessary beyond parasites. We haven't got really any rain. They'd had 1 shower while they were in here, and they just all nestled under that tree, the big coppiced honey locust, and this osage, and then some bushes up here on the pond bank. You can see there's this wallow. There's a funky sheen to it, but I feed them here, so it gets super, like when it's bone dry, because I'm like, well, it's dry, we'll feed here. When it's wet, obviously I don't feed in it. But the whole rest of it is absolutely great. They did knock over that tree cage, but there was no tree in it. That was just an extra cage. The area by the gate is still just as rough as it was before, so no, I'm not gonna crawl underneath this osage. No change. There's a couple spots where they nested down. Really, you can't even see them from here, even though they're big sections where the grass is pushed down. One is, I don't know, you can kind of see this area right there on the other side of that grass. It's a little flattened down, but that's it, just some flattened grass. So like I said, this is what we want. I want my pastures to look nice, although honestly some more herd impact would be really nice. I did really appreciate back when we fed dry feed that I was able to just pour the feed out in a line on the grass and allow them to trample the grass down when it was tall. But as is, I really don't mind the fescue and some other stuff putting out seed heads and topping off the seed bank so that any of these kind of bare areas fill in with fescue versus Bermuda, because that's what's kind of hard to see. Bermuda and crabgrass is what's kind of filling in a lot of these spots, and some clover. And while fescue isn't the best grass, it is better than crabgrass and Bermuda. And as far as the pigs go, definitely better than buttercup. But the buttercup's great for pollinators, so I'm not worried on that front. Like, there is plenty of grass for the pigs, so we should also have plenty of flowers for pollinators. Sorry, you're getting me bumpy walking. And these guys are in here. We can actually walk down over here. Oh, and I've got the gates set up like this, so they're just together. The gates are latched at the 2 points, and that allows me at the 4-way to still let the dogs have that paddock, this paddock, and then it's open there to that paddock, so they get the pond to cool down. Because Claire really likes, and I like it too, when the dogs have access to the pond here, because then they can cool down. Half of them swim, and they just really enjoy that, and I really enjoy that. And then we can just walk right out to the pond too, right, when we want to enjoy it. I don't have to go through a bunch of gates. All right. Payday, do you still have that one stump? I can't see the back of his ear. Yeah, he does. He still has the back of that tag. Me and the vet were assuming it would have fallen out by now. I guess it was only one day, but everybody's very muddy from playing in their wallow here and down towards the gate. Some of that's from rain, some of it was from when I'd flooded the barrel, and then shortly after it had got really dry again, so I'd actually had to fill it a little bit with the hose to top it off. But Yeah, sorry, I'm not trying to hide that from you or anything. Like, there is no grass here, right? This is where the hay bales were. So 1 bale here, maybe 3 bales this winter, maybe only 2, but every winter this is where you put bales. So it's building in organic matter, but not growing grass real great. There is little seedlings. You can see the haze of green. So hopefully they don't damage the seedlings too much. The hazes through here, and that comes up. And honestly, even all of that has a little haze of green. It's just hard to see on the camera. So hopefully once they move next week, they'll go to that one and then off. And so hopefully then this will get a chance to recover, because then the feeders next week will move up here into this one. And I guess the dogs will have to go to paddock number 1. But that'll be okay. They won't have the pond, but it'll only be for 1 week. And then the feeders will go up to paddock 1 and so on and so forth. And then the dogs can have the pond back again, because these guys will be up on the far side. And honestly, at that point, I really want, by the time that happens, next week when the feeders come up here, I'm really hoping before they move to paddock 1 to go ahead and just haul off those 5 and get the appointment set. The processor that I've been using that does the USDA, they have tons of openings, like a ridiculous amount of openings. So I'm not worried. Like, I can usually get an appointment within 2 weeks without a hassle. So I need to just go ahead and set the appointment and kind of set a date on all my posts I've been making and be like, hey, this is when they're available. If you don't get them by then, that's it. But then it kind of locks me into I have to have them sold by then, which is very stressful, because I don't have a lot of freezer space if I don't. All right, let's go up and visit. Oh, actually, go ahead and leave it running. I just got to go back out and get those buckets in a few. But we're not far off from showing you what else I got done yesterday. So I did this line of trees. I got 6 apples. Sorry, gates are really hard. I got 6 apples here along this. I just took down the hog panels for now. I'll put them back up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull cables off of these and espalier these apples. They're Yellow Delicious along this fence line. It's far enough off that I can still get a trailer in and out of the field, no problem. And then this is 4 pear trees that I got here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'll put in a post here and a post down there and espalier them along that fence line. And then that still leaves me, which I still have to clean all this back up, because the elderberries are in there and they're fine. Like, we did lose a bunch with that drought, but then they're trying to come up from lower. I just need to go through and mark them with stakes and get this weed eated knocked down ASAP. But obviously it doesn't take me very long to knock the areas down. So I got those, and then I got 4 apples here, and these will get espaliered. And the reason I'm going to be doing that is I don't want them to bush out and shade the willows, which really are like right here. I've mowed like right up to the willows. It's just really hard to see, but they are right there. And the hazelnuts are on that side, so I don't want them to tangle up. And then with the pears, they're getting espaliered so that I can then have room to put a row of grapes between the elderberries and the pears. And then I've got to figure out what I want to do about my hops, because these hops didn't quite make it. Yeah, no, none of these ones made it. And there was a little bit of one that kind of made it down there, but I'm just going to replant them. And then we got 5 bur oaks also that are grafted and like 9 feet tall. I have to get those in. I didn't get them in yesterday with all the other stuff, and today I've been running nonstop on a job site, so I didn't get to get them in. Hazelnuts are looking fantastic. They're all big and leafed out. Oh, what is this? That's a weird caterpillar. It looks like bird poop, but it's a caterpillar. He was very angry at me and throwing his head back. That's weird. Cool. He looks a lot like bird poop, but he was moving. Yeah, I still don't know where the hazelnuts are going to crop out at. I keep thinking that it'll be right there off the tips of these, but they just keep throwing out new leaves, so really not sure. That was where on the tips of the leaves are where the flowers are. I didn't pay attention last year when we had gotten some hazelnuts as to where the hazelnuts actually start showing up at them. So I just keep looking, and fingers crossed I'll find some. I don't know. Oh, wait. There we go. Those are hazelnuts. Those are hazelnuts. Come on, camera. Hazelnuts. 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 This bush is loaded. Oh my gosh. Yeah. This one is absolutely loaded. This is one of the ones that fruited last year, though, too. Yeah. This one is loaded. That's awesome. Yeah, all down through here. All around the back. This one has a ton, and it looks like the one next to it has some too on the back side. It's got some little ones. And up here at the top. Well, neato. And the weird thing is, oh, and this one does too. He's not loaded, but it has some. Okay, so they are at the tips of the branches. Their branches are fuzzy, it looks like. More fuzzy than the other ones that don't have, or maybe not. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know what the difference is. I'm sorry for the poor camera quality there, but yeah. Guys, I don't know. They just have hazelnuts. But this bush back here is always the biggest bush, and it didn't have hazelnuts last year, but it is huge compared to all the others, and it has been every year. Oh, and there's a ladybug getting ready to metamorphose from the little baby to adult. Yeah, I don't see any on this one, but it has been the biggest one out of all of them. So that's kind of an interesting thing, that it is always been a bigger, bushier tree, but has no hazelnuts. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I will definitely, we'd saved some last year, and then honestly, when we get up to the trees, I'll show you, if you guys hang through my poor filming as I'm stumbling around exhausted. Gosh, yeah, this one's just loaded. What sadness has occurred to some of our trees, including the little hazelnuts and the Osage oranges. So, Todd, I'm sorry. You may not get Osage orange this year at the show. Let's hit the sows first, and then we'll do trees. Oh, Oatmeal is, oh, she's laying over there. Okay. So there's Miss Oatmeal. She actually lost one of the ginger piglets today, one of the light ginger. I couldn't tell if it was squished. It was laying in the shelter, so I'm assuming it was squished. But the other 10 are doing great. It does not want to focus on her with the trees there. But yeah, beyond that, she's doing fine. Beyond that and her ear tag disgruntlement. And I shouldn't show you guys the barn because it's really a disaster. But poor vets had to see it, so you guys can see some of that. As far as Dose's litter, she is just down to 1. Oh, there you go. Now you can see some of hers. Dose is down to just 1. So there's her ear tag. We got it in. She's down to just this little breeder gal. So somebody did claim that one little feeder barrel that was left, and the 4 went up to Colonial, and some other pickups happened. So yeah, everybody's claimed except for her. Well, and all of Oatmeal's and all of Dottie's. But so if you're interested in a breeder gilt with a perfect 7.7 underline and a pretty nice build, this gal is available. Isn't that right, Miss Little Lady? You want to turn to the side for us? Show off that fancy pantsy look. No? There we go. Yeah, give me some side eye. She's strutting around. She knows it. Oh no, I scared her. Did that too fast. But yeah, that's her. And I don't see Dottie, so she must be in her shelter. Dottie. Yeah, she is. She's laying down in the shelter. Her 7 are still all great and doing fine. You can see I got the straps and the stakes down, so that is also fine. The shelter has not moved since I did that. You can see her through the little crack in the frame. That's her. She's totally fine. The willows are doing great, except for that one. As always, like I said, that one never really does. It grows, it just does not set up a nice knob. Those ones are setting up very nice knobs. Beautiful as always. This male persimmon here looks pretty great. And I've been working to prune off the stems on these and get them trained to their knob. So they're doing pretty great. And you can see these are already like, that one's way over my hand. That's like 18 inches at least. And they're thick too, like even that high, like that's almost finger thick. I don't really know how to like show that, but it's really thick. And then the others doing good too. Same thing. That one right there, that's at least 2 foot long actually. And very thick. So like I said, they always do better with the 1 year cuts. I just like that they give fruit on that 2nd year. So yeah. And then the hackberries are doing good. There you go. I'll show you how tall that one is. That one though, that's this is its 3rd year. So the hackberries really don't grow near as fast as the mulberries. So, and then she just spilt all her feed that was in that pan, the liquid. Well, not all of her feed, but a lot of it. All right. And save you guys some time from me having to just walk through the barn again and walk over here. This is the last of the trees that I had planted of the 19 I got in yesterday. That's 5 Bartlett pears. And I think I'm gonna let them just do their thing beyond, the normal maintenance pruning. But I don't think I'm gonna espalier them. I think I'm just gonna let them be standard trees. You can see the honey locust there. There are 4, they're doing pretty good. They're gonna be pollarded when they get taller. That mulberry is looking nice with its pollard at the top that we left the big branches. This in the wallow here is one thing I'd wanted to show you. So it's only mildly more yellow than the other 2. 2 weeks back, Dottie had stripped the bark almost all the way off. There was a piece like hair tie thick running down that still connected it. And I had seen somebody do this before, and so I'm hoping it works. I just duct taped the whole wound. And so I'm hoping that traps the moisture in and allows that to callus over and grow back and preserve it. I mean, it's not like I couldn't just stab a new one in. Like this is just last year's growth. So it's only 1 year of growth. It'd be 2 years if I had lost it. It is losing some leaves, but we'll see. Fingers crossed it makes it. I don't have a whole lot of faith, but I'm just kind of like crossing my fingers that works. It has held on for 2 more weeks like this. So like maybe really cross my fingers. It is, I swear, it is like that thick of a living piece of trunk continuing through. Yeah, we'll see. Honestly, there's not, beyond the little trees that we'll stop in and see, the boys are fine. They're same as they have been. I'll be setting the appointment for red near when I set the appointment for the others. Our California oaks are coming up really nice. They are very prickly. These ones are interior live oak, and these ones are California white oak. And you can see they both have these prickly, like they're definitely hybridized. They're from the same yard. They definitely are different, and the acorns are very different. These are long and thin, and these are very fat and thick. But one of the weird things that I was reading about California oaks is that they hybridize so readily. Like ours do here in the Ozark too, but not like they do out there. Apparently out there, it is a huge, crazy thing. So much so that it can be hard to tell a lot of the species, like if they're actually fully that species or if they're a hybrid. Whereas out here, it's pretty much like when you find a hybrid, it's like, oh, that's cool, that one's a hybrid. Like, it's not that common in the grand scheme of as much as it is with these. And so these are from the same yard, and they very much look like the parents did not look like this. The parents of this one were a little thinner leaved and spiky, and the parents of these were broader and not really very spiky. So interested to see. You can tell the definite color difference in the leaves too. That is definitely how the adults looked. The adults of the lives looked like this, and the adults of the whites looked like that color-wise. But the spikiness of the leaves, and the leaf shapes are almost the same and spiky, but they're drastically different colored, and the acorns are drastically different. As far as these go, so I had planted all of the Osage orange seeds back here, and there is only one that came up, well, really, only one that survived. A rodent came in here, dug all of them out, and ate them all. And I actually caught it doing it one day. Drove me nuts, but not really a whole lot I could do. He has left this one, thankfully for us. So maybe I'll get you that one, Todd. Just give it to you. But that's it. They ate all the other seeds. So like they split them open and ate them. Like they were already splitting open, and then he ate them the rest of the way. So you see, chewed it open there. It's very frustrating. But our black locusts, the bigger stems didn't really do as well as the root cuttings. And the only root cuttings to make it are ones that we planted horizontally. So if you watched that video and you're wondering for an update on laying the root cuttings flat underneath some soil or stabbing them in vertically, stab them in vertically. Look at like that one. That's a growth off of a root cutting, and it is this tall and great. So I oxed into both ends and stabbed them into the ground vertically, and they took off. This half was done that way. This half was laid in underneath the soil, and they didn't do anything. Like there was some slight shoots that came up a while back, and then they just didn't go anywhere. Whereas these ones have gone pretty crazy. And then I've got a bunch of oaks, and this is like a testament to putting in honey locusts. Like you always think that like, oh, okay, so we only had this much germination even when you soak them. And sometimes then they just come, like these were planted to oaks this year. I just reused the pots because nothing germinated in them. And now, yes, Miss Penn. Hi, Miss Penn. And now honey locusts are coming up in them. So that's fine. I'll go plant them up in the hedgerow up front. But it was not what I expected to be in there, hence the acorns. These are a mix of some, well, let's see. These are over here, and you can see some of these got really fried, but they're the ones that did, they're putting out new growth. That was just some transplant shock I'm forgetting the name of it now. It's from bringing them outside. Like the sun was a little bit too much for them all at once. They got shocked. But those are our, oh no, I'm really struggling to remember the name of these, but they grow, I find them all the time out west. Gamble's oak. Those are Gamble's oak. And so I'm really excited about those. If you saw the video on me planting those earlier this winter, that's what has made it from the Gamble oaks. I did get, Chantel, if you're watching, that side, after the honey or black locust didn't come up, I planted what remained of the seed pack of post oaks that you'd sent me, and none of those had wound up surviving. They had seemed like they were going to go for a little while, and then they didn't. And then I planted the Osage orange over the top of them. So there's your update on those, unfortunately. But that was, they were left in the bag too long, and then I left them in the bag too long when they got here too. So that's that. Then these are a mix of white oak, or well, no, actually, yeah, down from this end they're swamp whites, and then over here we've got some normal white oaks, just Corcus alba, and some other type of oak. I don't remember. I really have just like, hey, I've got some acorns in this tree I like, and then planted them. And when they're little, oaks are really hard to tell apart. And so it's just me remembering where I put them. And then this was our row of hazelnuts, and the rodent grabbed all of those too. He left the shells in the nuts. Like I kept finding them and putting them back, but yeah, so I got to be a little bit more judicious with those. But there you go. That is update on the trees. And these trees, beyond the stuff that's planted in boxes like this, so these are root prune. So the roots, as they come out, they're set up on bricks. This one actually isn't, and I need to bump it up to bricks. But that one is. So that's just weed barrier and then the soil, which if you watch the video on those, you know how that was done. The roots, when they hit the side, they'll air prune and die back. And so it'll just be the inside roots, and so there'll be fibrous roots. Okay, and so those, they'll go an entire year like this. I'll leave them in these pots, and then either this winter or this spring. I really like this spring to plant them, because then the rabbits don't get the chance all winter, or voles, to eat them. But you can do it either way. I just don't like dealing with the rabbit and vole pressure, so I prefer to save them and do them in the spring. These guys in these little pots, they actually need just planted right out. You can see their roots are coming through, and normally if they're in any bit of water, their roots will shoot way, way down and through. There's a root coming out. So where they're on the bare ground here, those roots will try to root down into the soil. So yeah, there's roots coming out of there. I need to just go ahead and plant these out in the field this week. We've got some rain in the forecast soon, so I need to go ahead and get them out. But yeah, those are just a one partial season growth and plant in the little containers, CONETANIER, container. Those you can let grow for a full season. So, okay. So that was quite a long Farm Tour Tuesday, but there were lots of little updates. I hope you guys appreciate that and get some good updates on what all's happening, and got to enjoy seeing. I didn't stop and pan around, but it gave you the chance to kind of see where paddock number 7 has gotten to in its regrowth. Lots of weeds, but my hair's insane right now, sorry. I don't care about weeds, right, guys? There's more grass than my pigs need. Weeds are great at pulling up minerals that the grasses don't grab. They're great for pollinators, and they never take over to the extent that it's that big of an issue. Weeds are good. Weeds are good. You need a diverse pasture. And as far as toxic plants go, I've never had an issue. We have hemlock growing. You've seen in previous Farm Tour Tuesdays. The pigs don't mess with it. Tons of buttercup. The pigs don't mess with it. And when they do mess with it, it hasn't seemed to affect them. So, maybe I'm just playing with fire, and I probably am, but is what it is. It has worked out fine so far. So I guess really all you should get out of this is I'm being your guinea pig to show you that for the whole time that I've been doing this, I've not had an issue with hemlock or buttercup. So don't beat yourself up about it and be crazy stressed about it and feel like you're a terrible farmer for leaving it out there, because in the end, it's just some pollinator food and hasn't caused me any issues. So, Claire has dinner ready. She's standing in the door. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this out. Thank you to our Patreon supporters, Raymond and Ashley Hunter. Super appreciate you guys. Raymond, I'll call you this week. And thank you to everybody who made it to the end of this video, because it is a long one. You guys have a great week, and I'll see you next Tuesday.